If God becomes your source and your full trust is in him, three things stand out. Number one, you will realize that God is faithful. Everybody who trusts God, God will always show him that he is faithful. That's one dimension of God that is not available for everybody. It's only available to those who trust him. And God being faithful means three things out of many others. Number one, when you depend on God, God can die to see that you live. Hope you know God does not die. But because he wants to save man, he became man and died. To show you the extent God can go to save you. God can give up his glory. God can give up his power. God can give up his throne. God can give up his divinity to save you. That's what the Bible said in Philippians chapter 2 from verse 5. It said Jesus, although equal with God, stripped himself of divinity. So God can even forgo what makes him God in order to save the one who trusts him. That's what faithfulness means. In John chapter 10 verse 11, Jesus was speaking, calling himself the good shepherd. And he said the good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Wait until there is a crisis and see how your company will deny you. Before I stopped watching football, one thing I learned was the fact that no system in this world is dependable. When you are shining, you are a star. If you are coming to the stadium, all the fans are wearing your jersey. They carry placards and drawings of your face. Everybody is singing your name. When match is over, coach puts his hand on your shoulder. And then suddenly you get an injury. And then you will go to the bench. When you now recover, another player have replaced you. And the player is doing well. Coach will now walk into stadium and you are sitting here, it's looking like this. You will look at coach, coach will look away. You will sit there until you will lose form. When you now lose form, time comes to renew contract. Then they will say, the new strategy the club is using now, you can't fit in. You that they were singing your praise, suddenly you can't fit in. And then the club will abandon you. Many have fallen out of their career because the club abandoned them. Or when you are growing old, suddenly coach will say, they respect you, they honor you, but they have to win this match. And because they need to win this match, you will come in later. And when time comes to come in, you will be looking at coach like this. Coach will move away from the bench and go and stand in the pitch and is watching until a match is over. And you will be shocked that you who was celebrated, you didn't mean much. They were using you. And now you don't have what it takes to be you, so they will dump you. But God does not operate like that. If God begins with you, he says, I am the Lord, I change not. He said, Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Whether you are in form or out of form, God will remain faithful. That's why you cannot afford to trust anything other than God. Only God will go out of his way to restore you. Man was shining in Eden. And you think God loved man because man was shining. When man fell, man didn't have the initiative to even reach God. The Bible says, while we were yet sinners, it was Christ who went out of his way to seek us. We didn't seek him. He was the one who sought us out. That's how God operates. God does not stand with you because you are in your glorious season. Even when you are in the pit, God will trace you there. Jesus had no business going to hell. The reason Jesus went to hell was because of you and I. He descended to Hades, the worst part of existence, and he stripped himself of his divinity, took sin upon himself, so much so that God rejected himself in order to accept you. When he was on the cross, the Father turned away from him and he shouted. That was when he almost broke. Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. So God turned away from himself. God rejected himself. God looked away from himself in order to save you. Not because he owes you, but because his nature is consistent. And so any man who wants to live the victorious life, come rain, come shine, God is his only source. God is his only anchor. God is his only confidence. And I can tell you that many circumstances of life will test you to show whether this is your conviction. And so when you find a man that has made God his anchor, that man will never compromise. The lack of compromise is the first indicator of conviction that God is your anchor.